Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be about the first steps required to start your own lead generation agency. It's a question I've been asked a few times. Sean, what is the first step? What is the first thing that I need to do in order to get my lead generation business started? In today's video, we're going to walk through the exact steps required to start your lead generation agency. To start your own lead generation agency, number one, you need to make sure that you have bought the required domains. Number two, you have to then set up all your email accounts. And then step number three, you need to warm those email accounts up for cold outreach. Within these three steps, we're going to break all of it down in today's video, and we're going to walk you through exactly, step by step, on my screen, showing you exactly how to do that. So let's jump right in to the computer right there so we can get started. Alright, awesome. Let's jump right into it then. So to set up let's say you're a new lead generation agency, or you get a new client as a lead generation agency, you're gonna have to set up the email accounts for either yourself or your client. The process is exactly the same. The only variation is really the domain names in terms of the company name. So aside from that, and the process is exactly the same, and all of these steps here that you can see, and from buying the domains on Port Done all the way through to setting up email signatures, these steps are all critical in the way that all of these have to be done to make sure maximum deliverability, and also to make sure that you're not going to get put on any blacklist or anything like that. So the number one goal with these email accounts in the way that we're setting them up, when I say maximum deliverability, I mean making sure that it's going right in their inbox and not in any of the spam folders or getting flagged by any blacklist or being put on any blacklist for that matter. So on today's video, we're going to walk through exactly step by step how you set up these email accounts. Anyways, let's get right into it. The first step from anything is buying domains. So let's talk about briefly buying domains, and this is a how-to video. There's a lot of other videos coming in terms of why we do things a certain way at Tartan Path, in a way that we've essentially perfected over time, because once you do this for a while, you realize what works, what doesn't work, and then naturally, in ways that we can maximize results for our clients and maximize the amount of outreach that we can do on really any given day. So if you are setting these email accounts up for yourself or for a client, I would recommend that you have 15 different domains per account. So 15 domains for one company. So for Tartan Path, we have 15 domains, and then under each domain, we will set up 3 email accounts on Microsoft 365, which we'll get into a little bit later on. Like, if the domain gets blacklisted and you have all your email accounts under that domain, then all your email accounts need to be essentially deleted and then recreated again. Now, the number one thing we're going to talk about after we set up these email accounts is the 14-day warning period. I'll get into that more at the end of this video, but the warning period is 14 days and there's no way around that. So imagine you have one domain, you have 45 email accounts under one domain. The domain gets blacklisted, and then you have to go through this process that we're about to go through, and then you have to wait for 2 weeks at the end of it. But here's the deal, this is a long process to set up, right? This can take anywhere between 10 to 20 hours. I'm just going to show you with one domain and creating one email account that you're going to do this times 15 because you're going to buy 15 domains. You're going to create 3 email accounts under it. Why do we do that? Like I mentioned, there's one domain gets blacklisted. That's only 3 of my email accounts that are down, right? Which means I have another 42 email accounts. I'm just going to go into TorqueDone, which I have open here, and I have a domain that I'm going to buy. Go on to TorqueDone, right? TorqueDone is a place where you buy domains. You can use GoDaddy, you can use a bunch of others. I just started using TorqueDone a couple months ago, and I find that it's cheaper than GoDaddy in general for domains. And what we're doing here is when I'm saying buying domains, like for us, tartanpath.com is our main domain. That's our website. That's where people go when they are looking for us. But you got to think, right? Like, if I'm creating 15 domains, how can I create 15 domains that say Tartan Path? We're not going to do that. We're going to create domains that are variations of the word Tartan Path, so it looks very similar. And the advantage of that is you're also not risking getting your main domain blocked. And then I'll create what we would call like burner domains, which look a little bit like this, right? Like two A's and 2 P's. You know, you can mess around with all of this, but really this is how we do it. We would do this for all of our clients. You know, you'll do this for a bunch of domains. You can do a bulk search as well, and you can basically come up with all your variations, paste them all in here, and then check that they're all available. If they are, you can add all them into the basket. But I'm just going to buy one for the purpose of this video. I'm going to click to check out here. I'm going to buy this domain, and then I'll just check back in with you guys once I buy the domain. Alright, so I have bought the domain. It's down here. So it's just pending the initial setup. And actually, just as a good example, right, from what we were just talking about, these are kind of all the variations of Tartan Path that we have in our system, right? So, and that's the ones we're using. So there's a good example of what it looks like. So these are all, we have 23 domains right now that we have, but this is kind of where we'll be doing a lot of the adding records and things like that today. So we're going to set it all up. We're going to go through all of that. So let me just refresh this. I'm hoping that we can get to that domain. So if you're there and you have a bunch of domains, because it gets confusing with the wording and everything, you can just like search the actual domain you want to look at. So there we go, right? So there's the one we just bought, and this is the one we're going to be set up. So it'll go back to the email text setup. It says buy domains. We've just done that. So now we're going to go into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and connect the domain. So this is my Microsoft Admin 365 Center. So this is using my normal domain and my normal email. You can just essentially say, you can just type in here domains, and you can see we got a bunch of domains here. That if we want to add a domain, we can just click on add domain at the top. Looks a little bit like this. So then I'll put in the domain, right? Tartan Path with the variation, use this domain. So there's other ways you can verify the domain, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We'll add a TXT record, because that'll be useful for us for later anyways. So this is a DNS record we have to add in TorqueDone, and I think if you use GoDaddy, it's like this is kind of automated actually, but TorqueDone you have to do this. So to go to TorqueDone, we need to go to the domain, click on DNS. You saw back there it said it was TXT, so it's a text record, and here we're just going to add an @ symbol, I believe. And if we go back here, we can see there was a value that we had to add in. The value, I'll show you where that goes right now. The value goes in here, and it's 600. I think here it says 3600, so we just need to make sure we change that to 3600, and then we will add that DNS record over there. So you'll notice a new domain that you've not set up, because really you're just going to have these records, right? You're going to add a ton more as we go through what we're going through on this in this video. And you can also, like, it's just a good point to bring this up. So we added this thing as a means of verification, and that you can also do like a quick like DNS config. So you can basically do Microsoft, and you're telling it, hey, this is a Microsoft account, so it automatically adds some DNS records for you. So that specifically STF, because that's critical for deliverability and for email phishing and things like that. So anyways, this is what you need to do within that. If we jump back over to Office, you'll click verify, and it's going to come up when it verifies that domain now has that record added. And sometimes you need to kind of do it twice for it to connect, but then there you go, it's working this time. So continue. Interestingly, when you add a DNS, you can also use the advanced option here and also set up the deacon at the same time. You don't have to do that. You can go back in and do it afterwards, which we're going to go in and do afterwards, right? Because we don't want to break the process. But you can add it here, and it looks a little bit like this. It gives you the records that you have to go and add in your place where you bought the domain, right? So in our case, PorkBun, we'd go and add these records into PorkBun to allow this to be set up. So it's very simple. I'm actually just going to go ahead and do that real quick. So adding the DNS records is pretty easy, and we know what to do, right? It's the same as before. So as we go to the domains here, we can see that essentially these are CNAME records. So as opposed to TXT, it's a CNAME record, and then we have to add a host name and a value, right? And you just leave it at 600 on it. So anyways, I'm going to quickly downsend and do this. So just add the selector 1, go back here, add selector 1, go in here, add that in, make sure we change that back to 600, add that record, go back in here, do the same for the second one, because a lot of people will say the deacon needs to be like certain time to validate, but not really. So it usually is pretty quick. So here we go, so TTL was at 600, we changed the type to CNAME, and then we'll add that. As I'm going through it, I realized I made a mistake because I actually left the selector 1 as a TXT record. So to edit them, pretty simple, just jump in there, and actually that's a very not good. I can't change the record type. So anyway, I'll just essentially save this one. Sorry, I'll just delete this one and recreate that one. So this is good, right? This is, you like, it looks like it's funny because it looks like I've never done it before. I've done this a million times, but there we go. So we add that, and then we can see that if we look at the CNAME records, we got selector 1, selector 2, right? So we know they're added. We can leave this on, and if you were to add it later, the deacon is going to be the same, right? It's not going to change. So whether you add them from this box here or you wait till after to do it, it doesn't matter. They're going to be the same record, ones that are generated. So we'll hit continue here. So we've added the deacon, so we've got one of those steps in. I'll show you how to get to that when we get to that step again, like how you would do it if you went the other way. So you'll always get this error the first time, right? It'll say, "Oh, well, we can't see this." So actually, there's, so you can see what's expected, right, and what is actually there. So if I go and check that in here, you can see that if you look at selector 2, like, you've got the same thing in both, right? So it just shows you, right, like, all the attention to detail matters.
And I think just because I'm recording a video, sometimes it's easy to miss things. But there you go. Add that. Go back here. Let's continue and have that re-verify. And then we can see that they're all good, right? You go here. It's it's seeing what it's meant to see, and we'll click continue. So domain setup is now complete. Anyways, jumping back in here, custom domain tracking is required. We use an AI tool called Smartlead, which is one of our last steps here after we set up the email accounts and we go into Smartlead. We're going to add the email account there real quick, and then from there, what that's going to allow us to do is going to allow us to use that tool to send emails. So we need the custom email tracking to actually get that set up. So real quick, it's just another DNS record, right? So I've kind of noted them down here for quickness. But custom domain tracking, we're going to add a CNAME record. We're going to say the host is just email tracking. I'll add the domain after anyways. So we'll take that, and then it's open, and then the answer is open.slidetrack.com. So we'll jump into the domain real quick. We'll add a CNAME record. The host is email tracking, and it'll be .tartanpath.com. And then as we jump back there real quick, we can actually get this to the answer. We leave it as 600, and then we add it. That's it for that point, right? We just double check that it's there, right? That we can see email tracking in open.slidetrack.com, and it's 600. So perfect. That's exactly the way it's meant to be. So setting up the DKIN, if you didn't set it up in the way before, very simple. You just go to, if you're in 365, you just type in domains. That's where it would be here. And then as we just copy that domain name, which I'll do real quick, and go here, you'll see if you click on it, you'll be able to see under DNS records that you won't see these because it won't be set up. You'll just turn it on here, and then you add the records just the same way that I just did. On DKIN, the reason that, so if we think about these things, right, these are all about making these email accounts be verified from a certain domain, and there's no email sleuthing or any phishing attempts from these email accounts. It's verified through a Microsoft Business Basic account, profile pictures, which we'll get to, all of that good stuff. All of these things matter when you're setting up the email accounts, because the email accounts are super, they're super easy to set up when you know what to do, but missing one of these things is essentially got a risk of putting you in the spam. So anyway, setting up DNARC real quick. It's just, this is the DNARC record you have to add. So again, you're gonna go here. You're gonna do was a TXT record. The host is just the @ symbol, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this. So when it says your domain, you're gonna put the domain in there, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that, we're gonna put that into TorqueDone. Okay, so I added the domains, so that's all there. So you can see what that looks like. You can just select add, and there you go. You got your DNARC set up on your account. Simple as that. Jump back to email or email setup here. Now, one thing we're going to need to do is think about this, right? You're going to be emailing from 15 different domains, and people do, and as every single client I've worked with pretty much says I went to your website at some point in our conversations, and they take the website that's on the email account. So if it's a slight variation of Tartan Path, that's what they're putting in their browser window, and we need that to automatically forward them to the correct page. So how do we do that? To enable website forwarding, we go on TorqueDone, and we set that up. So let me just kind of jump out here for a second. So you can do it from this screen here. So you're basically going to select this this domain, or all the domains if you're setting up that way, you can actually go to details over here, and you can see there's a bunch of information that is there, but you also have URL forwarding that's not set, right? So we can then go in here, we can select that email account, the host name, right? We can select that here. We're not going to put anything in. We're just going to say forward all traffic to, we're just going to leave that on. We will then submit that. How do we then test that this is actually working, right? We will come back to it in a bit. Sometimes it takes a little bit to turn on, but essentially if you go to your web browser, you paste this in, it will take you to the website for Tartan Path, and they do something that looks familiar to you. So that's now the website for us. So there you go. We know it's working. Right, we set it correctly. So then we got to add Outlook users. So we can do that pretty easily. We'll knock the next couple out because we'll be able to set up all of these Outlook users right now. So how do we do that? We go in here, we go to users, we go to active users. So the reason we're adding the accounts in here, when you're adding a user, this is essentially what you're doing here. So you're gonna go, so first name, let's say Sean, last name Barnes, display name, sure, email account, let's go back here. It is, you're going to set up multiple accounts, okay? So, and the reason I'm saying this is you want to give them different email accounts. So under your you're going to have one domain with 3 email accounts. Under the 3 email accounts, so I usually do Sean Barnes, Sean.Barnes, and Sean at thedomain.com, right? So I'm going to just say that Sean. Okay, so I'll put the password in there, then I want just them to email the password to me for the setup. One thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get a license. You only need Microsoft Business Basic. I don't have any licenses, so it's going to take me through to essentially pay for those licenses. So I'll make sure I get the license. Okay, so I bought a license there. You can see there you just bought a license. So then I'll hit next here. So you can see the email, the password, it's going to send it to me, Business Basic account, and there you go, right? So there you go. Sean Barnes added the users, blah blah blah, right? So that's all of that good stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to search the active users list, because it does get complicated, right, when you've got a bunch of accounts. So honestly, to create a profile photo, you're just adding it there, right? So change photo, upload an old photo, and that's it. Nothing else. The reason we do that is when people get you on Outlook or they see you on a Microsoft account, they're going to see your profile photo. So setting up the 2-factor authentication, I'm going to log in, right? I'm going to log into this account. Alright, so setting up 2FA is pretty easy. You just go through this process here. So you can skip it, but your email accounts are going to be something you're using for a long time. So I would recommend just setting up the 2FA right away. So follow this through and I'll get back to you at the other end. So once you set up the 2FA, you're going to log in and you'll be on your Outlook, right? So once you're in Outlook, you know your account's set up. You're going to have to do that for all of the accounts, right? Like if you're going to have 15 domains with 3 emails, then you're going to have 45 email accounts. I would recommend if you can do more than that, do more than that. And you can obviously set them up incrementally. But I would say you need the minimum 45 to start, and then you can warm up more accounts for later as well. I wish I did that in the beginning. I didn't do that, and I wish I did. But anyways, just clicking off of this user's already logged in, so that's great. So we've added our profile picture, we've added the Outlook user, we've set up 2FA, Deacon's already working. Now all we need to do is set up the Smartlead account and the email signature. So that is pretty easy. We just go into smartlead.ai and we will then be able to add that account. So I'll jump into my Smartlead. This is the home page, but I'm logged in here. This is a bunch of email accounts I've got. That if you click add account, you go to Outlook account, connect account. It's going to go through the whole, Microsoft process. So just put in the username and password. I don't want to say the password, but essentially this is what's going to come up. It's going to come up smartlead.ai. It's going to say give the permissions. We'll give the permissions. So we'll accept that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to see this email account has been added, right? So now that the email is added, there's a couple of steps we have to do. As we go back here, we've added the email account here. We need to set up the warning the email accounts and also set custom domain tracking. So let's go back and do the first one, warning up the email account. Very simple. You're just going to go here. You're gonna enable warm up, right? And your warm up will start. So you want to start with I do 50 emails a day. Daily ramp up by 5, and then I kind of have an email range every day as the full range of what we want to be sending, because we want it to be as random as possible. Because if it's like they're sending 40 emails a day and then all of a sudden they're sending, or probably a better example the other way around, you're sending 2 emails a day and now you're sending 50. So it's you want to keep that. I always do the reply rate of 80%. Not everyone replies, but there's enough coming back. That is number 1, right? So as we go back out here, and I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like from the outset here. Did you come there? You can search the email account. You can see it. You can see that the warming up as enabled. You'll see that there is not a reputation yet. That'll most likely be around about 100% after your 14 days, because it'll run through sending emails back and forth between the network to build up the email reputation. If you want to edit your email account, you can just click it, and then you get to go in here. Tells you a bunch of stats, how long your warm up is going to be going for, and how many warm up emails have been sent, landed in the inbox, etc., etc. It gives you all the stats. I'll actually quickly show you another email account that I have, just to show you kind of what that looks like, because these top ones here are warming up right now. So you see this one, last Sunday sent this, it's received this many emails. The warm up is almost done, but if you look at the last Sundays, it's really kind of been sending a bunch of emails. So you can see that all there. Let's turn on the custom domain tracking. We just go back into the email account, we go to general, and then we scroll down here, custom domain tracking. Put that in. Now we added this, remember, earlier on. So now all we're going to do is we're essentially just going to put the domain name in here. So there you go, right? Check the status. But anyway, the last thing is just setting up email signatures, right? So email signature is very simple. We'll go to the email account and you will just put the signature in here, and that's it. That is essentially step by step how you would set up an email account. That's just one email account. Obviously, you're doing that 45 times to do all your email accounts. And this is critical. All of this is critical. Setting up the SPF, the DKIM, the DMARC, website forwarding, two-factor authentication. Everything is critical to ensure maximum deliverability. And I just hope that you found this tutorial or walkthrough very valuable. By following these exact steps, you can set up the email accounts for your clients or for your own lead generation business. So there you have it. This is the exact steps required to set up your email accounts and set them up with Smartleads in order to warm those accounts up for cold outreach. Hope you found this video useful and it taught you something and it brought you some value. If you use all of these steps in this video,
then you will be off to the races to get your lead generation efforts underway. We at Tartan Path specialise in not just setting up the email accounts, but crafting the copy, managing the inbox, and everything related to the entire infrastructure we support here at Tartan Path. And if you want our help or you want to talk to us about it, click the link in the description below, or go to tartanpath.com and you can see a little bit more about our process, how all of that works, and you can also book a call with us and we'll be happy to walk you through exactly what we do and how we can help your business grow and thrive. Thanks for watching today's video. I'm out here, everybody.